Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear my voice and see my screen? All right. How is everyone today? Who's in love with all the wonderful chop that we've experienced? I know it's my favorite. Sweet. I am so happy to see you. I'm the owner, co-owner, founder, backtothefuturetrading.com. And it's my privilege and honor to be with you guys here today. I'm so grateful to have this chance and time to talk to you about a trading methodology over 13 years in the making, over 3,000 customers in the rear view mirror, 4.9 out of 5 trust pilot rating. And the only method that I'm aware of for futures, forex, equities, options, crypto that allows us to peer into the future and see potential upcoming moves at predictive times that never repaint, never disappear, reappear. We see them, we know they're coming days, hours, minutes into the future. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about a program that looks like this. Many of you have been watching the collapse of crypto over the last several days and weeks with the shenanigans going on down in the Bahamas. Anybody been following that flaming dumpster fire? Billions of dollars missing, polyamorous teenagers with no board of directors, no accounting system. What may be the most impressive Ponzi scheme I've seen to date in my 51, 52 years. Well, one of the things I want to share with you regards how predictable every market is, whether it's a cryptocurrency or a futures instrument or a commodity or an equity. And the way our software works is relatively simple. We go back into the past, you actually do on your computer using your historical data, and you turn the program loose. And like a submarine hunter with radar, it looks back into the historical data and uncovers any times lately that the market you trade is being pushed up or pushed down by the people who manipulate markets. I know, shock of all shocks, right? And so in the case of Ethereum, I want to show you here, without going too deep into PowerPoints, a few different sections of the screen if you're unfamiliar with them. Over here in the right-hand corner of the screen are the upcoming buying and selling pressure times in the future. The times on the bottom of the chart represent times in the recent past on a Thursday going into a Friday and Saturday, where buying pressure times have been consistently producing upward movements. Now you say, wait, that's easy to say now, but what about in the future? How do we know if it works? Well, I've got a way to prove it to you here in a moment. But for now, just focus on the lower right-hand corner of the screen. And you'll see that there are upcoming buy pressure times at midnight tonight, 1 o'clock tomorrow morning, 1 a.m., 6 p.m., and 3 p.m. in the future. Conversely, all of the times above the zero line, denoted by blue vertical lines, are times that the software has discovered periodic selling pressure. Times in the recent past where institutional traders, I believe, are manipulating markets and selling off, pushing prices lower at key times in the future, now represented by those behavior patterns. So 5 o'clock tonight, 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, 9 p.m. on Sunday night, forgive me, Eastern time, and so on. As a side note, the times will always appear local to your computer clock. So if you're on Botswana time or Los Angeles time, the times will always show up, whatever your CPU clock is programmed to. So for me, there's some discomfort with this initially, because when I look at what was forecast to happen, when I look for moves that actually produced a move that I was waiting for, there are more than enough moves for me to see that, hey, the thing I was waiting for actually took place, right? And I would say reasonably so that in the case of this Ethereum 60-minute chart, the program has been stellar insofar as identifying times lately where banks are sticking their big, fat, greedy fingers, investment firms and the like, and pushing these markets up and down at will. So that's one example. Last week we spoke a lot about Apple, and we've been following those signals, just covering the ones that we've been reviewing each week. And if we look, we'll see that between now and last week's webinar, we were predicting the price of Apple to bottom out right around the 28th of November and start to rise. We were predicting the week before that the price of Apple would drop from November 18th into November 28th. And we see here a candle that has eclipsed the close of 1, 2, and I believe that's 3 days, the very day after the 28th. And so we expect the price of Apple to continue to rise going up into December 13th. But what's fascinating to me is all three of these bottoms, the bottom on September 30th, the bottom on October 13th, the bottom on November 8th, and now this higher low on 11/28, were all turning points that the software warned us about in the future. And then consequently, if we look at where the pivot was predicted on October 27th, based on institutional behavior patterns, as well as the signal on the 18th, it's getting hard to believe in a world where anything happens randomly anymore. It's getting hard to believe the celebrities and the influencers and Mr. Wonderfuls of the world who get on TV and tell us that FTX is a safe play and such is a great stock, and Jim Cramer on Mad Money crying one day about how he misled everybody into the Facebook trades, now Meta. But we never know. We never know who's playing us. If Cramer has a position on the short side of Meta, if O'Leary somehow was short or was selling FTX, most of the time I'm fairly certain the people that I'm listening to are telling me a lie. And so if I presume the game is rigged, I get these results. We've been watching these signals since last summer, and you can see what's been happening at these times. What's going on? What's going on? Wonder Boy over in Twitterland was neglecting his stock. And The last time we got together, I warned everybody about a move down. Starting when? Starting on November 14th. And I said the window for that move ended on November 29th. And I want you to see that candle closed for Tesla at $180. And from that point forward, it's been rising with a high so far of $199, $20 per contract, nearly 10% move. Very similar to what happened at this pattern 4, at this pattern 1, and so on. How are we predicting these movements? Well, they're not predictions. I don't rub my forehead like Johnny Carson used to do. How many of you remember the great Karnak on The Tonight Show? Anyone? Ed McMahon would have a clue, and Johnny Carson would hold it to his head. And with mind control, he would know what the clue was. And it was always a bad joke. Karnak the Magnificent. He would say, fly paper. Ed McMahon, fly paper. Karnak, what do you use to gift wrap a zipper? Fly paper. This was just before my time, but I'm not making predictions based on some type of psychic mind control. These behavior patterns are based on things that are happening lately now. Things that are happening lately now. I want to talk to you a little bit about oil futures today. Let me reload this chart here. Can everyone see my oil screen right now? I want to show you something really weird. Hey, Lilburn. This chart looks a lot like our Tesla chart and our Apple chart and our Ethereum chart. It has the same kind of blue and white lines. But here's a funny thing. Every week, I give out times and directions in advance for different markets, so people will believe that what I'm telling them is true. Imagine right now, if you will, that I said to one of you, I said, Susan, in 5 seconds, someone will knock on the door 3 times of your house. And then we counted down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you heard, all right, somebody knocked. That was weird. He said it was going to happen, and it happened. Well, to prove to you that what this software is purporting it can do, I have to give you the times in advance for Wednesday and Thursday before the webinar. I have to do it. If I can do it and I don't do it, that's a scam. Then it's fraud, right? Then I'm trying to pull the wool over your eyes. So earlier in the week, I sent an email to everyone who's not a customer. And I said, hey, I want you to look at the times for these markets in the future. Does the name start to make sense when I describe this process? I know the times in the future where these moves are likely to occur. So we've had this time map since Tuesday. You've had it since Tuesday if you're not a customer. And so all of Tuesday night went by, all of Wednesday and Wednesday night went by, and then we arrived at Thursday. And so we want to know what happened at 10:33 and 11:18 and 11:42 and 12:12. What happened at 5:27 and 6:24 and 7:15? Did any of these time signals in the volatile commodity that is oil futures behave the same way that our signals did for Apple and Tesla and Ethereum? Because that would be a really cool trick, wouldn't it? Vinay, wouldn't that be a pretty cool, amazing thing if we were somehow able to do what we actually said we would do? Bananas. So when I come over and I apply those times to the chart, lo and behold, holy shnikes, we have the same situation. What do I mean by that? I mean, at the European Open, the price of oil went down at 5:27. It went up at 5:03 Eastern. What is that? 10:03 London time. It went down at 4:48. It went up at 6:24. Just like the software warned us it might. It gets a little chunky monkey in here. It kind of goes up and goes down, and then it goes down a little bit. And then look, the 8:03 signal kicks in. I missed the high by 2 bars. We'll put an X right there. Up at 9 o'clock. Up at 9:51, down at 9:54, up at 10 o'clock, and then look at this. Little head and shoulders pattern at 10:33. Whee! Sideways until 11:42, and then what happens? Whee! Up at 12:12, and then what happened 2 days later? Whee! And then down at 1 o'clock. Whee! I missed the low by 1 bar at 136. I'm going to take it. Down at 206, up at 230. How lucky am I to get here 2 days after I published the times and see the moves that are occurring way more than 50 or 60% of the time? How lucky are we to have a map for future movements for oil futures? Those of you that are customers at home asking, I'm using a default value of 714 calendar days with a swing strength of 8. Those are always my settings every week. But Susan, how is this luck, or is this maybe the truth of what's really happening in the market? Wouldn't it be nice to wake up every morning and have a map of the times that are waiting for us? How many of you trade and it goes immediately in the opposite direction? How many of you overtrade because you don't know how many opportunities there'll be that day and you don't want to miss it? How many of you leave too large of a stop because you don't know when the move is going to begin and you give it a lot of room, a lot of breathing room? These are all problems that we solve. These are problems that we solve. And as we go back in time and we look at the history of these signals, we find that as often as we've seen them here today, here are the signals for yesterday. And I want you to see where those moves are occurring and what percentage of the time the prediction actually lines up with the actual move. A lot of times, it feels like somebody knows something we don't know. And these are markets that move 24/7. When you get home from work, when you wake up in the morning, when you're done watching a bad Netflix show, oil is still moving. These are the Asian sessions. If you're on the East Coast, this is 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock rock. If you're in California, this is supper time. Would you like to place a trade in oil in the direction of the trend while you're eating your egg foo young and it goes up $850 in your favor? or if it goes up $410 in your favor, or it goes up $250 in your favor. Wouldn't it be nice? Yeah. So the software is capable of doing these heroic things that are producing these movements. I want to show you something here real quick. Before I do, I want to just take one thing off the chart, if I may. Sweet. If we go back and we look at the signals for the E-mini NASDAQ, a relatively cantankerous market, right? Something that's extremely difficult to predict. People getting laid off left and right, jobs disappearing, reappearing. And we study what happened at those times and look at what was predicted. Look at what's going on here into the afternoon. I'll use a yellow highlighter so we can see it better. 204, 224, 234, 242, 308, 327, and 4 o'clock. Now I just want you to look down at 204, up at 224, down until 242, up until 308, down until 327, up after 327, and then down at 4 o'clock. These guys had a plan at these times. Would you like to know the plan? Ah. Okay. Now, any questions about how this works until now? Excellent. We come back and look at what happens after the signals every week to see if what was expected actually occurred. Because if what was expected actually occurred, more often than not, it presents a problem for us. Because we were taught, we were told, we were sold indicators based on a price action universe. We can't possibly know when the moves are coming. And so we have to use volume, and we have to use price action and candle patterns and market structure and wave theory and blah, 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 zero lag, blah, blah. And then along comes the software and says, no, no, it's not like that at all. Our customers that are giving us these reviews are learning for themselves. That's not how this works. It's predictable. And people are manipulating these markets. How many of you believe when you sit down to trade tomorrow, somebody somewhere in the world knows when the market is going to go up and when the market is going to go down? All of us. All of us have. Okay. Now, I want to talk to you in particular about this E-mini S&P chart from this morning. This is one of the most manipulated markets in the world, the S&P. NASDAQ's pretty close second, but the S&P, the largest stock market in the universe, I gave out those times in advance. And some of the signals on here look a little weird. And I want to explain some things to you. But first, I want to ask you, can you see a document in your handouts section of your GoToWebinar box? Is there a handout section on your side where you can click on a document that I uploaded there? Someone take a look real quick. All right, cool. So I want to go over a few things with you because there's a few levels of the software that we can move out into. The first thing I want you to learn, and the thing that I've hopefully proved for you today, is that we can know the times and directions in the future, because these moves are happening every day without our awareness. The software brings those times to the surface and says, hey, have you forgotten 327 is a big bull move on a Thursday lately? Well, gee, I didn't think that was happening. Yeah, it's happening. The software raises our awareness to the movements based on time. We can know those times in the future. People have been studying these times for really quite a while. One of the people that I idolize is a guy named William Delbert Gann, WD, as he was referred to in the early 1900s. Gann was a time aficionado like I am. And so he was vociferous. Time is the most important factor of all when it comes to trading. Time is the most important factor in determining market movements. Time. And a funny thing starts to happen when you study time. You realize that it's a language all its own. Time has a language that you can become fluent in. There are words and phrases in time parallel to words and phrases in a language. ¿Dónde está el baño? Where is the bathroom? Those words, the way they're sequenced, have meaning. Someone who knows those words can answer. The bathroom is over there. So when we're studying time cycles, there's a language in time. And right now we've identified 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 words in time that have meaning. Normally, when you use the software, most of you are speaking the two basic words, white and blue, up and down. But there are a series of patterns that predict inversions, signals that reverse at the times and go the opposite direction. Some of you have been watching the forecasts from home, and I get these emails on a regular basis. Michael, I watched the times and they went in the exact opposite direction. Exactly. You're becoming more fluent in the language of time. So when you click on that handout that I publish on the webpage with the forecasts, there's a book that explains what these different patterns mean. This is all the way back to the first version of the software. What a regular up and down signal mean. Well, a funny thing happens when we start to get a little more fluent in the language of time. And one of the things the software can do, and we've learned to do, is identify the signals where the reverse of something is expected to happen. For example, if you arrive at a selling pressure time let's say exemplified by that red dot right there. Imagine this is blue instead of red. If you arrive at a selling time and that candle, the candle to the left or the candle to the right of it, have broken through the low of the prior swing, it inherits the qualities of this pattern. Well, what happens when that happens? Well, this happens. When you arrive at a selling pressure signal and that candle, the candle to the left or the right of it, is a brand new swing low. If you arrive at a selling pressure signal and it is structurally lower than the prior swing low, it reverses more often than not and goes in the opposite direction. Selling flips to buying. The terminals on the battery go from positive negative to negative positive. This is a mechanical rule that requires no discretion. And similarly, if we arrive at a higher high, at a buying pressure signal, a buying time, and either the candle of, the candle to the left of, or the candle to the right of that signal is higher than the previous swing high, then it inherits the meaning of a new word, cinco. And when we see a cinco, Yusuf, it tends to reverse and go in the opposite direction. Positive becomes negative, negative becomes positive. Cats marry dogs, birds play with cats. The whole world is upside down. But it's mechanical in nature. And the cool part is, I get to teach you this before I show you what happened in the E-mini S&P times. One of my favorite pastimes is getting emails and text messages from people who reach out to inform me that I must be some type of a fraud, that I am in some way, shape, or form systematically stripping senior citizens unknowingly of their money, despite the fact that the Trustpilot ratings are all real customers. Anybody can put a rating in there. I can't delete any of the ratings. I must somehow be a fraud, a horrible person. How do I sleep at night? Well, look with me real quick. And I want you to see how much I care about the transparency of this process. I don't want you to think about me at all. I want you to look at what the signals were, what was expected, and what the definitions of those signals are. This book was written in 2016. 6 years ago, I've been pushing this poorly written PDF file around. Because when we arrive at a higher high at a buying pressure signal, the market tends to go down. Well, come with me and look at the E-mini S&P chart that we were just reviewing. And while we're here, I want to show you how close to heart I take the accusations. And I want you to see that I sleep really well at night, and that these customers who leave the 4- and 5-star reviews are wonderful people who've had an experience and they feel like they're in control for the first time. Can everyone see the similarities between the 957 signal on this chart right here in relation to the prior swing high as what occurred in the manual that I wrote 6 years ago? Lilburn, Yusuf, can you see that the signal at 957 qualified to the definition of a reversal signal? See? Here's the cool part. The software tells you automatically that it's happening in real time. As the candle is forming, it's putting that 5 underneath and saying, it's happening. So we get to 9:57 right before the econ. There's a report. This is important. Listen. We were in the live trading room this morning. And right there, PMI. It's a big red report. There's no way we could know what was going to happen, what direction the market would go at that report. Pattern 5. Well, how long was the signal supposed to last? The signal was supposed to last until 10:36. That's the window of time from 9:57 until 10:36. Now we get to 10:36 and what happens? We get to 10:36 and there's some shenanigans. But I just taught you what the definition of the shenanigan was. Let's compare the two things, shall we? At 10:36, we have a prior swing low right here. The market goes up into the pattern 5, warns us there's a big drop coming, and that move is going to last until 10:36. Look at the diagram on my left. Prior swing low, pull back, drop down into the signal. Can you see that? Does 1036 on the E-mini S&P chart that I sent everybody, thousands of the prospects, thousands of customers who weren't sure if they could believe us, does the 1036 signal qualify as a pattern 4? Did the software identify it as a pattern 4? Did it warn us it was likely to reverse and go in the exact opposite direction like a pattern 4 does? Yeah. Side note, if you look, you see the number 4 right here? There's actually a method to the naming madness. Pattern 4s are big stop runs. So when we look at these signals and we let the software help us understand what to expect, now I want you to look at this with these filters on, these glasses that we've placed over our eyes. Down from 8:45 until 9:21, up from 9:21 until 9:48. Pattern 5 on 9:57, down from 9:57 until 10:36. 10:36 is a pattern 4. The number 4 is here on my screen. I'm going to blow it up so you can see it because I want you to believe that I am not a crook or a thief or a scam artist. That says 4. The next signal is 11:24, up from 11:24 until 12:03. 12:03, it drops. The third candle qualifies as a pattern 4. Pattern 4 at 12:03 until 12:48. Up from 12:48 until 1:24. It goes up, 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 drops the last two candles, and look, pattern 4, pattern 4. Pattern 4 at 1:24, up until 3:27. Up until 3:27. Up from 3:27 until the close. To make the software show the patterns, you simply right-click on the chart and go to Indicators. Inside of the parameters is a box that says Show Signal Dots Only. When you uncheck that box, you will see the pattern numbers. If you check that box, you will only see the basic patterns, 1 and 2. I advise new customers only use the first 2 patterns for the first few weeks, because our brains can barely understand how we can predict these times in the future, let alone the signal doing the exact opposite when we get there. But I wanted you to see what I see every day of my life. I want you to look with me at the times the largest index in the world was expected to move, to see if we can catch these knuckleheads with their fingers in the cookie jar. And we caught that high, that low. We knew that this was a low. We knew that this was a low. We knew that this would be a low. We knew that this would be a low. And then the final push up just before the close. Using times that I gave everyone for Thursday on Tuesday. Does anyone have any questions about how this is going to and can transform the way that you trade? You now have your own invitation printer to the institutional country club. We can now come to the country club with our own invitations. And somebody says, how did you know to get long at 1036? Well, I have the program. I have the program. Oh, you have the program. And guess what? It did the same thing during the European session and the Asian session. It wasn't exclusive to the US session. Down at 348, up at 457, down at 545, little tiny move at 633, small move here at 703 pre-market. And the further back we go, the more evidence we see of these moves. But in the beginning, my suggestion is to just turn those signals off. Just look at the standard signals. How many of you were watching the Federal Reserve report yesterday? Jerome Powell, the new architect of destruction. I have the default parameters set right now. I have it set to a 714 look back for calendar days with a swing strength of 8. And right now I'm looking at the basic patterns 1 and 2, up and down. Well, yesterday we had the Federal Reserve statement, right? We're going to increase interest rates, but slower, a little bit, little pieces. Well, inside of my forecast page, I also told you how we trade this. And right here is a description of how we trade it. And what I described in that explanation was this. We're going to use a 120 period moving average. We're going to only take trades in the direction of the moving average. So buying times in the direction of the trade, of the trend rather. Our stop will be 1.5 ATR values below the low of the candle, just on the other side of that line. We're going to enter on the close of that candle. So at 1:30, the 3-minute bar goes away. 1:33, the candle closes above the moving average. My stop goes below the candle. And now I hold it until this high at 2:30. And when we get to that high, it has slowed down one time, 2 candles, 3 candles, 4 candles. The market goes into a consolidation zone. When I told you it would. After the FOMC report, that was a big surprise. Everybody was caught off guard. How could we possibly know what direction it would go up after the report? After the notes, the minutes, Big Mouth opens his face again. 2:36 comes, and guess what? Party's over. Time to keep going. We enter at the close of the candle, and we exit at the next selling pressure signal. $72 plus $12. We get to 3:36. How dare we even try to trade near the close? We enter at the close of the candle, and we exit at 4 o'clock or 4:15, which is right here. Another $15. Ollie says, so we only take buys above the moving average. You can. We advise you to look at that first because of the following. Ollie, we study the customers that are doing well with the program. Yeah, congratulations. And so what we did was we asked the question. We know that the signals are predictive. We know that the times are coming in advance. We know what direction the times are when we arrive at them, right? And so we asked the customers that are making money, what are you doing? And 60% of them say, I trade with the trend. 20% of them say, I trade tops and bottoms. And so, Ollie, when I'm teaching new people how to use the program, I want to put them in front of the method that's making the most people the most money with the program. Does that make sense? So we don't want you to buy and sell every dot. And so when we look at this signal, yeah, it was a double positive. Sure, Raja. Absolutely. But I'm just looking at 2 conditions, trend and time. Trend and time. Does that make sense? Yeah, Ollie, my associate David's going to lock into you and send you the webinar recording. Are you US or UK based? US or Euro based, so he knows what time zone you're in. Perfect. If you get an email or a phone call from, his name is David. Yeah, I'm North Carolina too. Where are you? I'm just west of Winston. Yeah, you're 90 minutes away. Easily. We got a bunch of Raleigh customers. Ah! You're in the research triangle. Look up and you'll see a Southwest jet flying over. I could, if you ever got the software, Ollie, I'd put you in touch with the other guys for sure. We could look that up easily. But what we're doing is we know, yeah, Yusuf, I sent you an email. I did send you the email with that information. So we know the times the markets are coming, the moves are coming, and we put ourselves in those time windows, right? And so when we trade in the direction of the trend, we start to notice that the model has an expectation. Over here, I have 1,000 lookbacks, data points showing What does the market do over 1,000 data points, 24/7 from Sunday night till Friday afternoon? And Ollie, do you see how the predictive times have a positive expectancy? This customer would break it out, no Sundays, no Mondays, no Tuesdays, and so on. So the predictive times have an edge, right? The predictive times have a statistically relevant edge. So not only are we able to show you proof here and look signal after signal, day after day, and see what's happening at these times, we're able to leverage that. So Ollie, for sure, when the moving average is down, I want to be selling at the blue times, selling at the blue times. When the moving average is up, I want to be buying at the white times and then selling at the blue times. Sure. So Ollie, before I pop that back up, when you trade with the trend, generally two things begin to emerge over the last 13 years of studying this. People who trade with the trend, the model has a 50 to 55% expectancy with a profit factor ranging between 1.5 and 2.0. Let me get that in a font that we can actually read. People who trade counter trend have a 60 to 70% expectancy, but they only have a profit factor approaching 0.9 or 1.0. And so when we come back and look at the data, and we look at all the trades 24/7, Ollie, I'll blow this up so you can see it. Over 1,000 executions, all times, day or night, we'll see that the expectancy was 54% and the profit factor was 1.5. And during other sessions, we'll see, for example, no Thursdays. If we just exclude the Thursdays from this and we blow those results up and we start filtering by day of the week, Ollie, we see that we're getting closer to 2-to-1 on the profit factor, and our expectancy rises to 57%. Most trend traders that I knew before the software were 45 to 50% on the expectancy. Larry, we'll get you squared. Dave is a great guy for assistance with that. And Rachel can give you a hand putting the software on your machine for sure. Dave will help coordinate all of that. Thank you for your purchase, by the way. I appreciate you guys. So, yeah, Ollie, I tend to go a little wild with that analysis. And I've been filtering, for example, by times of day every 15 minutes. And one of the things I discovered was this. Ollie, if I look at a 3-minute S&P chart, and I only take the trade that occurs in the 3:45 to 4 o'clock window, 15 minutes a day with my 3-minute S&P chart, the model produces close to $7,000 a year, 15 minutes a day, trading long or short at that time. So we can hyper analyze the data. Yeah, so the stop that we're using, Ollie, is based off of an ATR value. Let me show you what I mean by that. If you'll excuse me 1 second. So Ollie, when we arrive at the signal, the stop is a value, a percentage of the average true range. So when the market is volatile, the stop is large. When the volatility decreases, the stop is smaller. When the volatility increases, the stop is larger. So our stop is always 1.5. You could make it closer if you want. 1 is pretty aggressive for a risk. And generally, we're risking X and making X times 50% on average or more. Does that make sense? Now, if you have a $5,000 account and the risk on the trade is $500, you probably shouldn't take a trade that has a 10% potential drawdown. Right? So you're going to use those money management strategies that you know fundamentally with this system. But you know going into it, you have a predictive edge that tells you how long the move should last, that tells you when the move should go, prevents you from overtrading, allows you to sit at the computer when the appointment arrives and not sit there all day. The older I get, the more discouraged I am, the longer I have to sit at this crazy infrared sauna that's probably giving me mental cancer. I hate sitting in front of the monitor all day. I hate feeling like I don't know what's going on. Over the weekend, or over the Thanksgiving holiday rather, my wife's relatives came to town. Her mother, who I adore, lives up the street, and her aunt is also in her mid-70s. And Earl, when they sit there and they're having conversations, all of us together, I'm just going to draw their hair real quick. The faces we get are squints, and they're listening with their ear because they can't hear. What did he say? What are they talking about? What's going on at school? What does she mention about the turkey? Is the turkey ready? Everything, because they can't hear anything, they're having to listen to every little noise and word to see if they can pick up what's going on. And Ollie, I love that I know what times to be ready for the trade. And I don't care what happens in between or before or after. Ian, that's wide open, no trend. And that's a one ATR stop and target from the close. 1 ATR stop and target, 1-to-1 from the close. And then Ian, using Aurora, I went back and I started to discover other windows of time. So 9:30 to 9:45, 11:30 to 11:45, 3:45 to 4 o'clock. And Ian, when I checked those 3 windows over 6 months, that was the equity curve. So 45 minutes a day. Ollie, it presently is automated. It's being used right now by a select group of customers. About 20 of our long-term supporters are using a variant of this called Optimus. So that product exists, and those slots are actually full right now. Yeah, I know. Imagine having to place 3 trades a day and knowing what direction and what time. It sounds horrible. You've been eating porridge. I'm offering you steaks, and we're complaining there's no baked potato. I love that reaction. But I really like baked potatoes. I was hoping there'd be creme fraiche. Ollie, if you're interested, let me write a note. So that's the way we're looking at these signals. And so I love telling people when the signals are above the moving average, we're going long. When they're below the moving average, we're going short. Any questions about that? Because there's a huge difference between signals and setups. The signals are raw information. The signals are raw information. Blue dots, white dots, arrows, numbers. What does it mean? It's just raw. A setup says when we arrive at a buying pressure time above the 120 period moving average, our stop will be 1.5 ATR values below the low of the candle. We're going to enter as close as we can to the close of the candle and hold the trade until the opposite signal arrives. When I follow my setup over time, my rules lead me to consistent profitability. Jacob, I haven't really studied the NQ with Aurora. That's definitely something we should look at. We'll do that in the masterclass for this month. How about that? Plus, they're doing some exciting stuff with the NASDAQ with Optimus too, so that'll give me some more reason to look at that. So we can use the signals. If you already have an existing trading system, you can use the signals to confirm the trading that you're doing presently. If you don't have a system or you're not doing very well with what you've been using, we can teach you a basic setup that you can follow every day. And you can be a trend trader with the signals. The point of this that I wanted to make was that trading is not what we were told. Susan, we were told that we had to watch every bar. We had to learn head and shoulders patterns. If you read the forums, somebody new comes along and says, what do I have to do to be a good trader? And the answers are always the same. You're going to have to study hard for 4 to 6 years. You're going to have to eat gravel and drink dirty rainwater. You're going to write in a journal every day for a half an hour and get psychotherapy about why your mom makes you feel bad. People don't have a clue, or they don't want to believe this. Because if they believe the markets are rigged, if they believe the markets are manipulated, then they have to admit most of the junk that they studied, most of the tools that they bought, most of the time that they spent was wasted. There is a man behind the curtain, in my opinion, who is pulling the strings and pushing the buttons. You can't trade head and shoulders patterns and moving average crossovers and 38% fib pullbacks anymore. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. These guys go out and they screw people every day in the markets. They run stops and go to targets. They run the stops again, and then they go to their targets. And they never go to jail. They never get in trouble. The senators, the congressmen, the guys in the big office, they all have a stake and a part in it. All actors in a play, in my opinion, designed to gouge the little guy every single time. Yeah, not pushing the button, mashing the buttons. That's right. That's how we say it in the South. Mash it. I want to be this way. I don't want to go back to the way that I used to trade. I don't want the customers to have to do what they used to do. Sit there in fear and panic every day and biting their nails. And what do I do now? Should I get in? Should I get in? Oh, it's too late. I got in too late. Stop filled. All right, I'll get in. Market goes in the opposite direction. Oh, stop filled. I'll just take every trade backwards from now on. Every one of us said that. Wouldn't you rather live in a universe where we track the people who are making the money, trade when they trade, in the direction that they trade, and move when they move? That's what I want. That's what I want. Any questions about the program, how it works, and what we can do to know in advance when Apple, oil, the NASDAQ, Ethereum, the pound dollar, Tesla, Bitcoin, gold, oil futures, the euro US dollar, If you want to know when those moves are coming in advance, there's only one company that can tell you when those moves are coming. It works on every market and instrument. It can work on euro, it can work on the spot, or it can work on the currency futures. This right now is spot FX, or we can use it on currency futures as well. Siddharth, whatever you have a data feed for, not a problem. We recommend the futures currency futures instruments instead, because with the pip spreads and all that stuff, it's a losing proposition most of the time. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, good news for all of you knuckleheads. It's end of the year. There's a big promo code. You're gonna steal this thing from me today. The program that we're talking about is called TachEon Warp. It is our flagship product. It is the one that everyone starts with. It's the one that we get near 5-star reviews with. And I'm going to put a link to the page in your GoToWebinar chat box. Chat box. I will show you how to change that, Richard. Hang on, let me try to con these people out of their money here. 1 second. If you look in your chat box, there's a link. And if you click on that link, it'll take you to this page. At the bottom of the page is a Buy Now button. If you click on the Buy Now button, it'll tell you that there's a trading room. You can come to our trading room. It meets Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 to 12 every week. If you want to come, we'll take 25% off the price. You can come 12 days a week, watch the program being traded live, shadow trade, whatever you want to do. It's up to you. That's $149 a month if you want to come hang out. About 10 ES ticks a month. If you don't want that, you don't need it. Go to the checkout without the pro room and then enter promo code WARP750. Capital W, capital A, capital R, capital P, WARP 750. When you hit apply, 750 smackers comes off the price. End of year sale, Black Wednesday, Cyber Friday, Purple Wednesday. I don't know anymore what the right color is. I know that I'm supposed to lower the price to the lowest price of the year. This is the lowest price of the year. So 1745. Siddharth, Dave's going to get in touch with you and let you know the answer to that question. I want to say yes, but only if you're serious. And we have to move quick because it just started. The program just started. So you and Ollie are in the same boat. And it's limited to that group. So yeah. 1745, but you need the one to start. So you're thinking in the right direction. I will confirm in the recording the answer to your question is yes. So if you do the one, we can do the second half if that's what you want to do. You're very welcome. This is a lifetime license, 2 computer licenses, lifetime updates, no charges for maintenance or anything in the future. It comes with free white glove installation to make sure it's installed correctly. And we have ongoing education. We're available for tutoring and mentoring. We have access to customers who are trading live with the software that will also do tutoring and mentoring with you if you want that. A vibrant community of supporters available for you. So take advantage of that if you have an opportunity to do so. Richard, before we go, you crazy maniac with your pattern questions, When you load those patterns onto the chart, if you're not seeing the number, what you need to do is go to your signal accessory editor area inside of your indicator, right here where it says signal accessory editor, and then drop that box down until it says patterns. And Richard, you see where it says pattern text offset? That's the number that you want to change. That'll make the size of the number bigger or smaller, and this one will move the number further and further and further away from the signal. Make sense? If this number is too small, it'll get hidden by the dot. So you want to push that away from the dot, make it a big number, 20, 30, 40, just to see. Sweet. Look at that. I'm exemplifying wonderful customer service. I love all of you. I thank you for your support. Those of you that are customers, there's a lot of you here today. Thank you for your reviews and your feedback and your support and your success stories over the years. When you get into your 50s, like I am now, you start to wonder, am I doing the right thing? Am I where I'm supposed to be? Is this how I want to spend the rest of my life? And you make that an easy decision for me. So thank you for being a part of our journey, for allowing us to develop this tool for you, for allowing us to save as many traders as we have from the unavoidable demise that most traders meet. And so you've had a part in that, and I want to just thank you and express my gratitude for that. Richard, if you want, you can book time with any of us, Ron, myself, or Jacob in the mentoring area of the Customer Resource Center. Simply log in there and reserve your spot. You can ask Rachel about it too, and she can help you navigate to there. Siddharth, once I get off here, I'm going to forward your order to Rachel, who will schedule a setup time with you at her earliest convenience. It could be potentially this evening, but most likely tomorrow morning or afternoon. Ollie, Dave's going to give you a call and talk about that stuff. I'll shoot for today, but she's a mom with 2 kids and one of them's a teenager. So I don't push too hard because I fear for my life. And I don't like angering the females of the species. It doesn't go well. I married a Cuban Italian, so I'm especially wary of extra requests at a late notice. All right, recording will be available this evening. I'll send it out here. Promo code WARPOFF, capital W, capital A, capital R, capital P, OFF. Appreciate all of you. Keep kicking butt out there. Keep taking money from the banks. And remember, the market you trade is not random. There is no fair. There is cheating when they cheat, buying when they buy, and selling when they sell. You can't beat them, you join them, fight fire with fire, and all those idioms we learned when we were younger. Please take advantage of that tool. Ollie, they're sent out usually Tuesday night, but the link to that page never changes. So if you want, I'll put it in your chat box. And you can just refresh the page every week. And those of you that are customers, if you want to follow along, just bookmark this hyperlink in your chat box. I'll leave it up there so you can click on it. And we just refresh it, Ollie, every Tuesday. Yeah, it'll be up by tomorrow. Sure. So go ahead, click on that link, bookmark it, and just refresh the page every Tuesday. We have our webinars every Thursday. 13 years, 3,500 customers, 4.9 Trustpilot rating. Get in there, read those reviews. They're inspiring, written by real customers who bought the same thing you're buying right now. So welcome to the family. All right, guys, Siddharth, I'm going to check. Let me right click and get your email, and I'll forward that to Rachel right now and connect you two and see when she's available. Thank you, everyone. May the wind be at your back. May the sun shine upon your beautiful, handsome faces. May the valleys rise up to meet you, and may the mountains lay low before you on your journeys here today. I wish you health. I wish you peace and calm and focus. I wish you success for everything you seek to accomplish for yourself today, this week, and this year. Let's hang in there together. We're going to make it through this and be better than ever. I appreciate all of you. Have a great night. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.